Yeah, so we basically let me give you the story a bit. Uh, usually people do bug hunting. They do it. They focus on a protocol and try to find bugs, right? But this didn't happen for me. I never went through Immunify. I never uh, deliberately hunted bugs. This was just like coincidence, and I consider myself lucky. And basically, I think the takeaway here is that you have to uh, if you learn new stuff, you work on new protocols, uh, you will figure out new stuff. And basically, the UniswapX, they did something very similar that I had developed
Awesome.
for a client. So it's a really similar, almost exactly the same type of protocol.
Can you
And I did
explain,
the same
Shung, what
mistake.
is
Yeah.
UniswapX?
So it's basically intent-based protocol. What that means is that uh, people make orders by gasless signatures. So they sign off-chain, and the signature basically says that, okay, I want token A, I want 50 of token A, I have 100 token B that I will give you for that 50 token A, right?
Okay.
So that's the signature. And uh, the idea is that the user just specifies what they want and what they want to give, and they don't care about how that's procured, right? So uh, they sign the signature, and then there are off-chain calculations that try to find the best route for that uh, for a series of swaps to occur, and those swaps are not they don't care about the protocol as well. So it will go through UniswapX, but they can use any other protocol. So they don't have to use just Uniswap. They can use Uniswap. They can use uh, Aave. They can use a
Awesome.
balancer. Yeah, so they can. It's like an aggregator.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea, like the main difference, is that you just give a signature and then you tell what you want. Because in a traditional aggregator like 1inch, you just you make a transaction that tells the exact path that the swaps should occur. But that's not the case in UniswapX and the protocol that I have built with Flood. So the Flood is the protocol I built with Flood team, and that's basically very similar. Uh, yeah, so that's UniswapX, and the reason I was able to find it was because I developed something very similar. And when I saw UniswapX, I checked it uh, and realized they did the same mistake as me, basically.
That's really cool, man. And can you explain how permit to allow the signature process to happen?
Sorry?
Can you explain how permit to
Permit to, yeah.
yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Permit to. Uh, so normally when you are using a contract and you want a contract to spend your tokens, right? Because let's get back to the initial example. You said I will give 100 token B and you will give me 50 token A. So the contract has to spend 100 token B on your behalf, and that is traditionally done by approval. So ERC20 standard has token approvals. You have to approve that token. Uh, you have to approve the contract to spend that token amount. But that's not the permit to tries to streamline that procedure. Yeah, Bahurum is the guy who actually found the bug
I see.
on my. Yeah, I when I wrote it, the Bahurum found the bug, and but he found the bug in my code, and then I used that and found the bug in UniswapX. So
Amazing, buddy.
I think the credit could go to Bahurum mostly.
Can we go
Uh,
through the attack? So the offer signs a flood order exchanging Ether for DAI, okay? The offer has also an open door on Seaport. What does that mean, having an open...
Okay, let's go to the chat box at the end of the blog post. So there's there's this POC I wrote. So let's get it. Let's go to the beginning of the chat box. So here, by Fran, it's like a regular user. OpenSea uses signature-based orders as well. So you make an off-chain signature. But what OpenSea doesn't do is that it doesn't allow you to use those tokens in other protocols. So let's say you want to give, you want to buy some you want to sell your NFT. That NFT, let's say one base C, you sell that, but it's not used in any other protocol. And what happens is that the person filling that order has to send you what you want. So it happens inside Seaport. Seaport is the OpenSea's protocol. So everything has to happen there within Seaport. It doesn't use any external protocols. So let's say the user created an order on OpenSea Seaport. There's a signature, off-chain signature being kept in the servers of OpenSea. And then the user creates an order on UniswapX. Now there's another signature on the Uniswap servers. And if someone has access to both of these signatures, they can fill these orders. But the problem arises when two of these orders have the same token requested. And what happens is that when you are filling the order, you can only fill the OpenSea order. You don't fill the Uniswap order. You just fill the OpenSea order, and the balance that you have received from filling the OpenSea order will be reflected on the UniswapX. So it will think that you have given the extra amount, but you haven't. You haven't given the full correct amount.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shung, can you send me the link to the fix so we take a look at the code? What was done to fix it?
It should be linked in the article if you go a little bit up, down. No, here.
Code.poc, fix the issue here.
Yeah, that the second one. Yeah, fix the issue link.
Let's take a look at that. So let's read this through. So this commit fixes fundamental issue with expected balance slip. Balance checks for the settlement methodology. If a swapper creates an order on UniswapX and also an order with similar input-output tokens on another protocol, they can fill the order during the reactor callback to satisfy the balance checks without actually filling the Uniswap order X itself. This commit fixes the issue by switching back to an approved transfer model, so every order is transferred explicitly from the fill contract during settlement. To alleviate security issue with being able to transfer from fill contracts in the reactor, we add a new constraint that message sender is always used as fill contracts. This means all fill contracts implementations must themselves call reactor execute. Call reactor. Go on.
Sorry. That paragraph, that's a separate thing they have done. It wasn't necessary.
Okay.
So basically, it requires that whoever filling the order is making the call to UniswapX. So it's like a circular call chain.
Okay.
Like the order filler contract has to call UniswapX, and the UniswapX during the reactor callback calls that contract. Before that, you could directly call UniswapX instead of using another contract in between. This change they made wasn't necessary, I think.
Let's take a look here.
So they made all these change in one week or so. It was very fast. They did it all. I was impressed with that.
execute bash with callback. What changed here? Just the printing. Okay.
They changed a lot here.
Here's a callback.
But I can give you a takeaway from like why this back happens.
Why?
Basically, it was like if someone is writing this code, they would. It's not likely that they would write that they would introduce this bug. But the reason that I have introduced it and the reason the Uniswap X team introduced it is that it's for gas savings. So basically, it just checks all the token balances before the callback and checks it after. So this saves more gas, but the normal way of doing it should be just using a transfer from instead of waiting the fulfilling contract to send you the tokens. You just forcefully transfer from it.
Okay. But bro, this seems like a hard bug to spot, you know? It's kind of a signature replay attack, isn't it? A little bit, because this is the problem, right? I'm using the same signature in two places.
No, you don't repeat the same signature. It's just that when you fill an order during the callback to the you are filling an order on another protocol during the callback from
Okay.
Uniswap. So
Okay.
Uniswap makes a callback to your contract that will manage all the swaps. So that's the by fulfiller contract. I mean the contract that will do any arbitrary swaps. So Uniswap makes a callback to the contract, and that fulfiller contract can do anything. So it can go to Uniswap, do some swaps there, then go to Balancer, do some other swaps. So it can do anything to source the items requested by the order creator. And then what UniswapX does is it checks the balances before and after they made a call to the it makes a call to the fulfiller contract.
I understand. Okay.
And by reactor callback, that's what they mean.
Really cool. Now, you guys gotta have questions. Come on, everybody understood everything? Guys, help me here. Open your mics and start talking. Let me see here.
So what did you do when you found this out? Like, how did you reach out to Uniswap?
So
And what
they
was
have
the
they have a bug bounty page. They are not part of Immunify. They are independent. So they request that you email the finding. So I basically wrote a coded POC. And the UniswapX uses Foundry, so it was easy to just write a coded POC and wrote few paragraphs of explanation and then just edit the POC. And like I realized the issue when I just glanced at the code, UniswapX code, because I was already very into uh, developing something very similar, and I went into the same pitfall. I made the same mistake, and I just immediately realized from the design they made. So I just immediately saw it. Yeah, they made the same mistake, and uh, then but I wanted to make sure because I wasn't very familiar with the Uniswap X code itself, but just the protocol design, like the design of that kind of an intent-based protocol. I was familiar with that, but not the UniswapX code itself. So it was easier for me to write a POC and confirm the issue then read the code and understand everything and confirm it that way.
That's really
So yeah,
cool, buddy.
I wrote a POC, sent it by email, and received a reply in one day. And it goes to their support team, and I just once they received it, I sent another email so they make sure that it's being taken seriously, and it was being taken seriously. They basically one day after they removed it from their website. The UniswapX the UniswapX toggle still stayed on their swap page. So like main Uniswap uh, app.uniswap.org. So swap on the swap page there was UniswapX toggle that stayed there, but wasn't doing anything. So uh, they I understand why they did that, because this is not something you want to disclose it, because this is not a upgradable protocol. So I assume they didn't share this with me, but I assume they waited for the signatures to expire just in case.
Um, Amazing, Shung. Since you're here, bro, you are one of the few auditors that are really consistent. You really have a unique way of viewing and auditing code. How long are you doing this?
So I was first in. So I first did a. Do I start from the beginning of
Yeah,
my
go from the
okay?
beginning, please.
Okay, so uh, in the beginning, I was always had like this libertarian thoughts that be your own bank. I guess don't leave my savings to other people under other people's control. So I was interested in Bitcoin, but what really pushed me was the line going up, because it was it's not easy thing to just switch from your moving your savings from your bank account to Bitcoin, right? Like it's you have to do it consciously. You cannot just do it blindly. You have to know how to manage keys and such. So uh, it wasn't easy. I needed some motivation, and the line going up was a motivation for that. So I got into Bitcoin, and then at the beginning of 2021. So January 2021, just at the beginning of the bull run. And then the line wasn't going up fast. So my my intentions started changing, and I got into all these altcoins and such. I got really into Avax ecosystem, so I started all the
Yeah.
DeFi, degen stuff, DeFi stuff. I wasn't into Ethereum, but in Avax there was always some fork from Ethereum coming every new week. So every new week I was learning a new protocol as a user, basically. Like once it was landing, like first it was Uniswap V2, then it was landing. I was learning that as a user. I started to get more into the background of how it all works, because I want to make sure that it's actually decentralized, and I'm not doing something I do not know. And it led into doing my own NFT project. Then I got into Pangolin uh, as a Solidity developer. And then
Bro,
I was
Pangolin
able
got
to,
really good, big. I mean, I remember everybody talking about it back in the day.
yeah, it had like 500, no, I don't think it was half a billion, but it was 200 million at some point, I think. I
Wow,
might be
bro.
misremembering. Yeah, it's at the peak of the bull run. But uh, yeah, and uh, then I got more into security. Did some Coderna stuff, uh, started reading, studying, and yeah, I ended up here now, basically.
But before getting into Web3, you were working as a developer. You were doing some
No,
other. No.
I I was just like I I did some college, uh, like a 3-year diploma degree in civil engineering. So I didn't do programming, but my attention it doesn't last more than 1 year my interest. So at the first year of in my program, I was really interested in getting good grades and such. But at the second year, my interest started getting more into free and open source stuff. So I got into
Nice.
using Linux and then writing scripts for everything, automizing everything in my daily usage. So automated everything.
You guys make me feel like a slug every time. So you're telling me that you're only on development now for 3 years or something?
Solidity development.
Yes.
Solidity development is just two. Let me see. Yeah, it's 2 years.
And how did you got a sense of security? How did you got your sense of security to increase? I mean, just to security, you gotta be something, you know. I think you did so many protocols. I don't know if you read reports. What is your method of acquiring information?
I did so many developments. I think developing is the best way to acquiring information. Reading is very passive. If you can do it, uh, if you can do it, for example, along with testing. Let's say you are reading, but you're also writing unit testing and such. Then that can work out. But I don't like writing tests. I prefer developing stuff and just maybe writing basic tests to see what I have written works. But extensive testing, uh, especially for something that I haven't written. For example, if it's a code I've written, I could enjoy writing tests. But for others people's codes, I wouldn't enjoy writing tests. So I think the auditing is very passive, and I don't think how much you can really learn that way. And you can learn a lot, but I don't think it can stuck with you that much. So
I
I would
understand.
suggest developing a lot. So that's what I
I
do.
understand. And what about threat modeling? I mean, what is the usual mindset you approach code? Let's say you're looking at a function. Because recently we did the Solady audit together, and you found some problems related to zk sync and create zero in the Solady code.
Yeah.
How
So
did you approach? I mean, what's the list you're taking these things? You have a list of bugs you look for. How does it look like?
yes, Solada was fairly easy because it's a single contract, doesn't interact with anything. What's interesting with precompiles is that it's not when you're writing it in low level, uh, you can see directly that it's a call to the precompile. So it was identity precompile in Solada, and I think it's 0x4, like the address of the profile is 0x4, so you see it directly, and it's not core part of EVM. I think I don't know how the standard is defined in that regards. Is it core part of EVM or not? But like it's because if you're writing Solidity, then the compiler will do uh, these low level stuff for you, and if you are let's say compiling for zk sync, they have their separate compiler. We have to use that. So you wouldn't have this problem. It would just give you a warning at the very least. But when you're writing in UL, when you're writing in assembly, you are making a call to just an address. Precompile is just an address, and you might just deploy that to zk sync as well, and it can be a problem, or any other chain that doesn't have that has precompile.
Yeah. So since you were not fully familiar with UniswapX and you did not go through the whole code, how did you find out that the similar bug that you found elsewhere was also in UniswapX? Did you like use a tool to like look it up, or how did that work?
Well, I just checked how did they handle settlement. That's the only thing I checked, because the flood team I was working with, they wanted me to check how to integrate UniswapX as well. So to see how can I integrate it, I have to see how they handle the settlement. And basically, they were not doing transfer from. So if you're not doing transfer from, I saw that they were checking balances. So it's easy to see that they are looking at the balance of the order creator. So the order creator checks the balance before making a callback to the UniswapX. Before making callback, checks the balance of the order creator and checks it after. It was like immediately. This is the same design I had come up with, and it's it has to have the same issue. Like, because I had thought about it before, you cannot do it this way with that issue. Like, if you use this design, you will have that issue 100%. There isn't uh, any way you can get rid of that issue while keeping this design. So I saw that design. They must have that issue, but maybe there's something I don't know. So I just wrote a POC, and yeah, they had the same problem.
Gotcha.
We're gonna stop taking your time. Thank you so much, bro, for coming, for explaining this to us. So you guys know Shung is a very respected, very renowned auditor, someone that you can definitely learn from. So be sure to follow him on Twitter, okay? Be sure to follow him on Twitter. Shung, you have any closing thoughts? Anything you would like to say?
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I hope anyone listening have learned something, or yeah, I hope this was helpful for
Yeah, it
all.
was very helpful. I mean, I'm going through this video back to take a look and really understand that bug. I think it was really important. And yes, thank you so much, guys, and talk to you later, okay?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.